Hi, welcome to this Tuesday with Michelle. I am your girl, Michelle, bringing you the hottest content this Tuesday. What's going on, everyone? What's good? What's popping? What's new? I hope you guys are doing well wherever you are. I am doing just fine, darling. Today, we're going to be continuing our Boundaries and Relationship series, and we are going to be talking about, drum roll, please. Dum, 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 dum. That's a weak drum. We're going to be talking about time boundaries. So, just a quick recap. The first episode was an intro to boundaries. The second one was physical and sexual boundaries. The third one was emotional boundaries. Then we talked about intellectual boundaries. And now we are talking about time boundaries. So, hang tight and let's go on this journey. So, first things first, what are time boundaries? Time boundaries are basically boundaries that you set around your time. So, those boundaries are there to protect your time as an individual, and they have to do with how you're going to spend your time, who you're going to spend your time with, what things you would want to prioritize, and what is worth your time. I definitely think that this is an interesting topic in the context of relationships because a relationship is formed by two individuals who have their own interests, their own values, their own personalities. Like the list can go on, right? So essentially, two individuals who have their own lives and things that they like are coming together to form this one unit, which we're calling the relationship. In the relationship, you don't want to have a case where one partner or both partners start to lose themselves in the name of, oh, we're in a relationship. And by that, what I mean is if somebody enjoys playing soccer, right? That is not something that they should lose when they go into a relationship because that's something that matters to them. Or if the other partner enjoys singing and spending time alone singing, they shouldn't lose that part of them just because they are now in a relationship. So in a relationship, two people are coming together, but not every activity is going to be a couple's activity, right? So you as an individual, you're going to have certain things that you want to do by yourself, and so is your partner. So that's why this is a very, very important topic for us to talk about in the context of relationships. Now, while it's not the case that every, activity should be done by both people, you still need to make sure that in protecting your own time as an individual, you're also not being selfish. And by that, what I mean is being in a relationship is different from being single, right? There are also certain expectations that come with being in a relationship. And one of those things is spending time with your partner. And I think this is also interesting because when we talk about love languages, there's also the quality time thing. But time is something that you're going to have to share with somebody once you're in a relationship. So before, right? Like when you're single, 100% of the time, 100% of your time is your time. But now when you're in a relationship, you're not going to have that 100% like alone time. So some of your time is going to have to be shared with somebody else. But it's now more of how do you navigate what you want to do as an individual and what your partner wants to do as an individual, and then still having time to come together as a couple. I think something that's important too is that these time boundary violations go beyond like, oh, you're in a formalized relationship with someone. Some of these things could even be within a talking stage with somebody. So, anyway, what I'm going to do is just give examples of time boundary violations and explain why those would be considered violations. So, one scenario could be, let's say I'm in a talking stage with some guy and he says to me, hey, Michelle, I'm going to call you on Saturday at 6 p.m., right? So I put it in my calendar that this guy is going to call me on Saturday at 6 p.m. I have moved things around, right? Or I have cleared my schedule so that I can have time to speak to this person. And let's say in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, maybe the call will be an hour long. So I've blocked off from 6 to 7 p.m. to speak to this person. Saturday comes and the person doesn't communicate to me that, oh, hey, like I'm sorry, I'm running late, or they don't communicate anything to do with like, hey, the call is not going to start at 6 p.m. So what happens? 6 p.m. I'm looking at my phone and I'm waiting for this person to call because this person said they'll call at 6 p.m. Now, I understand that life happens and sometimes people have to move things around and you might not be able to call at 6 p.m. That's totally understandable. But the problem here is not communicating, right? If something comes up and literally like you have to turn your attention to do something and you can't call, that's fine. That's life. But you have to be able to communicate to me, right? That, hey, I'm sorry, I won't be able to call at 6 p.m. So that's one example. Another example could be maybe you are in a relationship with somebody or you're supposed to go on a date with somebody And this was a scheduled thing, right? So at the beginning of the week on Monday, we said we're going to have a date. On Saturday, we're going to go to the movies or we're going to go for dinner. And then this person cancels last minute. Like maybe, this date was supposed to happen at 8 p.m. And then at 7:30, they're like, hey, by the way, I won't be able to make it, right? And let me just actually say this and speak on behalf of some women out there. Obviously, it's not all women, but this has even come up in one of the episodes that I've done. Is women, when they're preparing for dates, there's a lot of work that goes into it, okay? And one of those things could be putting on makeup. Now, it's happened in the past, and I heard it in one of the episodes that I did, where somebody prepared, they put on their makeup or whatever, and then essentially this person cancels last minute, right? Like, just be respectful, be courteous. If you're gonna cancel, at least give someone like hours heads up, or even the day before, just be like, hey, I don't think tomorrow is gonna work anymore. So a big violation is when somebody constantly repeats the same behavior of canceling things last minute and not giving you a heads up, or if somebody is forever scheduling over a time that you're supposed to meet. So let's say, for example, you're supposed to meet on a Sunday for ice cream, right? You are so excited to meet up with this person for ice cream, and then they tell you, hey, I'm so sorry, something came up with my friend, so I won't be able to make it. Again, right? Life happens, things happen. It's fine for things like those to happen once in a while. But if it's one of those things where it's a repeated occurrence, where every time we're supposed to meet, your friends always have something that you need to tend to, it basically makes the other person feel terrible because it shows that you're not prioritizing them, and essentially you don't value their time. You think that it's more important for you to spend all the time that you have with your friend, and then you can always cancel on this person last minute. Now, something that I'll also say is, in a situation where you've had to cancel, or you absolutely cannot make it to something that you had committed to previously, right? And you communicate to the person, hey, I'm so sorry, because of this reason I won't be able to make it, right? As the person who's canceling, be the one to reschedule. Because, for example, if somebody cancels meeting up with me, right, I was going to show up and then you canceled. So it's on you to be like, hey, I won't be able to meet up with you at this time. I'm so sorry, but can I make it up to you? Can we meet instead of Sunday? Can we meet like on Tuesday instead after work? Or like, what is your availability? Like, show the effort that you're trying to reschedule, because it is on you, right? The reason why we're not meeting is because of you. Because also, if you then don't try to reschedule, it gives the impression that like you're canceling, and your reason might have been valid, but the impression that it gives would be, I don't think that this person actually wanted to meet up with me, right? But if you show the effort to try and like schedule or reschedule, it shows that you at least respect the other person and you feel bad for the fact that you won't be able to meet up with them. Another thing that's actually a violation of a boundary in a relationship is if you're that person who, and I get it, life happens, events can come up on the fly, but just because some events are coming up on the fly doesn't mean that your partner is going to be available to go with you to that event that has come up last minute, right? So if you're somebody who you're asking your partner to go somewhere with you last minute and they tell you, hey, I can't make it, and actually in that case, it actually doesn't even matter what their reason is. And also assuming that the event you're trying to go to is like a fun thing. It's not like there's a medical emergency or something, a fire somewhere or whatever, right? Assuming that this is just like kicking back and just having a good time, whatever. For example, you could say, oh, hey, like one of my friends just said that they want to do a get together right now, like with their friends. Can you come with me? If your partner says, I can't make it, you should be okay with it. Like, you shouldn't even be angry about it, because this is something that is coming up on the fly. And it's not okay for you to expect somebody to just show up impromptu for this kickback with your friends, right? So like that last minute thing, really, if somebody can't make it, you also shouldn't be the person who gets angry about that. Another thing that is a violation of a time boundary is if you've said to somebody, hey, let's hang out, right? And they say, oh yeah, I can hang out. And then, maybe you guys decide on like a 2 to 4. Or the person even asks you, okay, how long do you think this will last? And then you say, okay, like maybe from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., right? A boundary violation is when 4 p.m. comes, if this person has to go, you then force them to stay longer than that because they had communicated, or you had communicated to them that they were only required to be there from 2 to 4, and now you're expecting them to stay longer. So things like those, or if someone really has to go, and you're on the phone with them, but you keep like holding them on the phone and you're like, no, you can't leave, that's also a boundary violation. I think one thing that's important to call out as well is that people are different, right? For some people, they're very lax with time. So, for example, if somebody shows up late, let's say we're supposed to meet up at 6 p.m. and the person shows up at 6:30, I might be the type of person who's just chill about it. Like, oh, okay. I mean, like, they were 30 minutes late, but hey, while they were not there, I got to like talk to a friend on the phone. It doesn't really matter to me. But another person can be like, no, if we said we're meeting at 6 p.m., and you show up at 6:30 p.m., even if you communicated that you're running late, that is a violation of a time boundary, because essentially you're not valuing my time. So let's say it's a case where your partner has communicated to you that time is really important to me. It's really important that you're on time when we're going to meet up. If you constantly show up late when you're supposed to meet up with your partner, that's a violation of their time boundaries, because boundaries, again, as a refresher, are there to protect the person who's setting them. And if they're saying to you, I need you to be on time, then you need to be on time. And here's a tip that I found that might help that person who is always on time and gets frustrated when people are late. So this is something that you could use with your partner to help both of you out in the situation. I guess it would be more of like a compromise of some sort. Basically, you communicate to your partner that, hey, it's really important for me that you're on time when we're supposed to meet up. And then you let them know that the thing is, if we say 6 o'clock, I'm going to wait until 6:15. And if you arrive after 6:15, that's my cutoff. Like, I would have left. Expect to not find me when you get there. And it sounds harsh, but it's important because essentially you have given the person like a 15-minute buffer, and now it's up to the other person to respect that and to show up within the time period. And if they're to show up after 6:15, you had communicated it to them. So they shouldn't even be mad that you're not there anymore, because you had already told them that, hey, this is my cutoff. And this is all part of the whole healthy boundaries thing, is like you have to look within yourself and see what matters to you. And after you know what matters to you, you then communicate to the person that you're dealing with that, hey, this is how it's going to have to work on my end. Turning our attention to healthy time boundaries, this is what some of those could sound like. I can't come to this event this weekend. I can only stay for 30 minutes. Do you have time to chat today? We have family time on Sunday, and that's time that is really important to us. I can't miss dinner, so I won't be able to make it at that time. Can we do on Saturdays? And let's say, for example, you're in a situation where maybe you're a photographer and your partner has a friend who wants a photo shoot, right? Being like, hey, I am willing to help, but this is how much I'm going to charge. Like, regardless of how this is your friend, this is how much I'm going to charge for my time as an hourly rate. Other things that you could say would be, hey, I can't make it to that event because you told me last minute. Or you could say, I have some plans with my friends, so I can't make it. You could say, let's set up time where we can just unplug from our phones and just have a date night. So all of those are examples of things that could be said in the name of protecting healthy time boundaries or setting healthy time boundaries. That's it from me. Thank you so much for listening. Definitely appreciate the support. Let me know if you guys have any thoughts about time boundaries. It could be violations. It could be how to set healthy time boundaries. It could be how to handle situations where your time boundaries are being violated. Always happy to hear from you guys. Hit me up at Unpacking Love on Instagram. I will catch you guys in the next episode. Peace. Ndiwe